My name is Joan Taylor, and I'm a writer. I am an author of 4 books: Food for the Soul, Living on Purpose, The Veil of Silence, and Hope Abounds. I'm a speaker and a teacher, as well as a life coach. I've been in ministry since 2004, and I'm a survivor of domestic violence. Thank you for joining me for day 39, From the Wilderness to the Promised Land. Today's message is titled, 42 is Coming. Today we're going to take a look at the book of Job. The book of Job has 42 chapters. In chapter 1, we see that Job's character is described. He is blameless. He is upright. He is a man who feared God. We also are told that Job was incredibly blessed by God. He had a very large family, and God blessed him with an incredible amount of wealth. And he was also incredibly well respected. I must say that many years ago when I came to Christ, the book of Job was not one that I wanted to read, and I actually saved it for, I don't even remember how long, but before I could actually touch it. I knew that the story was filled with incredible suffering and pain and agony, and quite frankly, I was afraid of it. But a story that I found such that I found such fear about reading was a story that actually brought me some incredible hope, and I hope that I'm able to unpack this a little bit and share it with you. So after we hear about Job's character, the book of Job tells us that angels convened in the presence of God, and Satan somehow slithered his way in with them. When God recognized that Satan was there, he said, "So where did you come from?" And Satan's response was, "I was prowling about the earth, going to and fro," probably, of course, searching for someone or something evil to do. So God's response to Satan was really incredible. He said, "Have you considered my servant Job?" Then Satan goes on to talk about Job's protection from God, and how nothing ever happens to him. And then Satan says, "But I bet that if Job were to lose everything, if he were to experience great loss, I'm sure that he would curse you." So God says, "Well, I'm going to give you the power to sift through Job's life like wheat, but you cannot take his life. So you can touch it and bring devastation, but you can't kill him." Right there, we see God's incredible power, that Satan literally could not do anything unless God gave him the power. So I want you to hold on to that thought. So of course, because God gave Satan the ability to do, to test Job, testing is beyond, that's not even the accurate word for what happened to Job. In my personal opinion, I felt like all hell broke loose in his life. I mean, he lost everything. He lost his children, all of them. He lost all of his money. I mean, he lost every single thing, so much so that his wife said, "I believe that you need to curse God, and I think you need to go die." Job's friends did not understand what was happening in his life. They blamed him. They thought that he did something wrong, and they felt that they also judged God wrongly, But they lacked the wisdom to see the hand of God. But isn't that true for us too? How many times do we look at our own lives, or we look at the lives of others, and we come to our own wrongful conclusions? I'm sure this is why Isaiah 55 tells us, "My thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways." And this is God talking to us. So we can't come to judgment about what God is doing when we really don't understand. I think many times when we see incredible suffering, whether it be in our own lives or in the lives of other people, many times people say, oh, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. Well, that's not true. Actually, God always gives us more than we can handle. Because if we could handle everything that this life would deal to us, or the hand that the hand that life has dealt us, if we could handle it all, why would we need God? If we could handle it all, we would be our own gods, small g's. So in reality, God always gives us more than we can handle. Why? Because tragedy, suffering, difficulty draw us nearer to God. The relationship with God is not one of self-sufficiency. It is one of total dependency. So even though Job knew, Job was upright and he was blameless and all of that, we see in chapter 42 that Job didn't know God, because in 42 is when he says, I knew of God, but now I know God. I knew of God, but now I see God for myself. So chapter 1 through 42, we don't even know how long it lasted, but for God's sakes, really, I mean, it was brutal what happened to him. But God develops a relationship with us through the difficulties in life. He draws us near. This is the manner in which we come to God, So from a book that I saw that had, was filled with complete suffering, again, I found complete hope. The book of Job is about relationship with God. It is about restoration. It is about redemption. And it is about God's sovereign power that is resolute. And it is about God's faithfulness. So I'm not sure if you were standing in chapter 1, chapter 22, or you have entered into chapter 42. But no matter how much you have suffered, 42 is coming. In 42, after Job recognizes that this was about him getting to know God, Job says, I know now that you can do all things, and there is nothing and no one that can stop you. So out of all this suffering that Job experienced, Job came into the understanding that God is good and that he had judged God wrongly himself. But isn't that true for us too? When our lives are replete with difficulties and tragedy and trauma, how many times do people make judgment calls about us? I know I relate to Job's journey in so many ways. Clearly, I did not suffer the loss that he did, but what I have gone through has been enough and more than enough for me, So one thing that I think that we can really take away from Job's journey is no matter how much we have suffered, no matter how much that has been taken from us, 42 is coming. No matter how much Satan has sifted our lives like wheat, God's hand is still upon you. 42 is coming. No matter how many tragedies have befalled our lives, no matter how many losses we have endured, 42 is coming. In 42, God doesn't just turn around and bless Job's life and give him back just what he started with. God turned around and blessed Job doubly. Job's second half of life, his latter was far greater than his former. God's faithfulness was displayed in so many ways because no matter what Satan was allowed to take, God said, look, I am God, I am sovereign, and I'm going to give it back to you, and I'm going to give it back to you double. So no matter where you are in life, no matter what is happening in your life, no matter where you are in the scheme of things, if we look at Job 1 through 42, 42 is coming. God is going to redeem what you have lost. God is going to restore everything that has been taken from you. God sees you and he's coming for you. And so your latter will be greater than your former. If this message has blessed you, share it with a friend. If this message has blessed you, empowered you, and encouraged you, consider sowing a seed on joantaylor.org. Also, please subscribe to this channel if you like the messages that you find here. And I greatly appreciate everyone's presence and the wonderful comments. They are encouraging to me as I continue to press on. And God is faithful, and He's going to come through for us.